And the last thing was the Beth Kassab article on historic preservation. That one's like, what does that mean?
Well, she made a public record request for a copy, an advanced copy of Miles Bland's report, which we did not have, regardless of what she says in the paper. We did not have it.
But that's the report we're talking about.
That's the report we're talking about, which came at 9 o'clock the night she asked for it. So we did get it that night and sent it to her the very next day. We did have some talking points that he had sent us that he planned to talk about, but we did not have the report that she asked for. In one of her follow-up emails, she did make like a side comment of, or anything related or something like that. Staff should have provided that, and we didn't at that time. She got it the next day, and the staff members can talk to her about that to make sure that type of thing doesn't happen again. But, you know, we thought we provided her what she asked for. She's not happy with us and has the power of the press behind her, so she wrote her article on Saturday.
So you're comfortable?
Yes, I am, and I, you know, we apologize for the confusion, but she asked for a copy of the report. We did not have the report, regardless of what she continues to say.
Joan Cason, 1915 Woodcrest. I noticed under the manager's report, this article of Beth Kassab was mentioned. And I have what I wrote that I'd like to share. In an article written on Saturday, November 23rd by Beth Kassab, an Orlando Sentinel columnist, Ms. Kassab was seeking the draft report on historic preservation prepared by consultant Miles Bland and paid with taxpayer dollars. In this well-documented article, Ms. Kassab detailed the difficulty she had obtaining a copy of the consultant's report. Florida law states the public is entitled to review draft reports and not just final products. The city refused to give her documents to which she was legally entitled. On November 13, Ms. Kassab requested an advance copy of the Bland report on historic preservation. The reply from the city was that the city does not have an advance copy. She then requested copies of correspondence between Bland, Mr. Bland, and City Hall staffers, and learned that Bland sent a draft report to the City Hall on November 5th. This is clearly unacceptable behavior on the part of the city. Ms. Kassab further states in her article that it was apparent from city emails that Lindsay Hayes cares about strengthening Winter Park's preservation code to protect the city's history. The citizens deserve to know who directed Ms. Hayes to withhold the information, and what will you as a city commission do to ensure that this does not happen again on this or any other issue? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. I'm confused. You said Ms. Kassab has the article or the consultant's report?
Well, she got it now, but at the time she asked for the report, it did not exist.
So it was not available to city.
You cannot
trustee
provide
to
something
release
that does not exist. There were some talking points. She didn't ask for, are there any draft talking points, are there anything?
The consultant's report did not exist.
The consulting report, we got that at 9 o'clock that night,
And we sent it to,
and we put it on our website immediately the next morning. Was the next morning, Chris, it went on the website,
Right after the presentation.
or after the presentation went on the website. So it was made available to the public once we had it.
and public records requests, obviously there's a period, I think, in the law, Mr. Brown.
That's right, we don't have to.
We don't have to give it the second we get something.
That's
There's
right.
obviously some period of time.
Reasonable time.
And I don't know if the next day is reasonable. It sounds like it. I mean, if I understand it correctly, she got the report the next day.
We got the report after close of business hours on the day she asked for it.
I was, excuse me, addressing the draft report.
We had no draft report. We had no draft report. We had draft talking points. She asked for a copy of the report. We did not have the draft report or a copy of a draft report.
I mean, I'm just as concerned as a citizen,
Right,
but
yeah,
it sounds like the information that's being presented is
Now, I want
is
to,
the way it's gone on. So,
I want to be fully transparent here. One of her
I also
follow-up
don't want,
emails.
excuse me, Mr. Knight, I also don't want to assume that there's a cover-up or
Right.
conspiracy or something out there. I think that all of us, we live transparently, we put that information out transparently. You know, not everything that's written in the newspaper is accurate either, so.
In one of her follow-up emails, she added the line, something like, or anything else. At that point, we should have given her the talking points, but nobody directed Lindsay Hayes to not provide anything. Clarissa was talking with Ms. Hayes, saying, do you have a draft report? She said, no, I do not. We did not go review Lindsay's emails. The next day.
So was Lindsay charged with sending this to Beth Casab? Or
No,
did this
she
come
was
to our
charged with
board
sending
as a
it,
request?
she was charged with sending it to Clarissa. Clarissa asked her for it, and she said, I don't have it. And she didn't. Now, like I said, the second email broadened that a little bit, and when Ms. Casab asked for all the emails, that's when Clarissa got all the emails, and she looked at it and said, well, you had draft talking points. You know, perhaps we should have provided that, but it wasn't what she asked for, but Clarissa did not see any of that, so, until the request was made for all the emails. So there was no cover up here. It was staff was trying to accommodate, we always try to accommodate the media with public records requests. We don't drop everything we're doing to do that, because we do have a reasonable amount of time to respond. But, you know, in that case, it was, we felt we were answering the question Ms. Casab was asking. And she said she was asking a different question, but
She requested it on Friday.
I think the Wednesdays when she requested it, the HPB meeting was scheduled for Thursday. We got the report Wednesday night at around 9 p.m. by email. And then that was made available the next day, you know.
So when did she get it? Before she wrote that article?
Oh, yeah.
It was on Saturday's paper?
Oh, yeah, she had it way before then.
Oh, but she wrote that anyway?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she's trying to make it look like we were trying to cover something up, and it just simply wasn't the case. If we had the report, we'd have provided it. We didn't have it.
Well, that report's gonna come before the commission
Right.
anyway, isn't it? I mean, he'll be presented
Well, it was
here in a
presented-
public forum.
That's right, it was presented in a public forum on Thursday.
But it will be presented here.
No. May I ask one more question? In the public records, my information was that when you do a public records search, you have to be very specific on what you're searching for everything. So we would, if we didn't have something, we could present it, and even if she meant it to be bigger than that, how would we know that? I mean, how would you know if you ask for something and it doesn't exist? You have to ask for what you want. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That it is coming before the commission. You're one no.
Well,
Well, how do you know?
what you've.
I think it's pretty much our decision whether it comes before the
That's right.
commission.
What
or not.
the
It's
commission
not- it's not
directed-
his
We
decision.
have asked, we've directed staff already.
Y'all directed the HPB to provide
It
these
is.
recommendations, so.
Recommendation.
So HPB has heard Mr. Bland's report, and y'all have asked for the HPB to give the city commission
Right.
recommendations.
So it'll come here then.
I'll speak
Oh, yeah.
and you'll hear something. Sally Flynn, 1400 Highland Road, Mayor and City Commissioners. As NASA would say, Houston, we have a problem. I heard an ad hoc committee made up of Mr. Chapin, Butt, and Hamner present an ordinance to P&Z, excuse me, for changes for restaurants on Park Avenue. It was immediately accepted by P&Z and then by the City Commission. I heard the Friends of Casa Feliz Preservation Advocacy Committee present a thoughtful and beautifully done presentation for a stronger historic preservation ordinance. Not only did some of the board members arrive late for this that they had worked on for months, but at the end denied them the opportunity of having it presented in its whole to the City Commission. I heard Miles Bland, a consultant hired by this commission and paid for with our tax dollars, turned down by Dory Stone to let his report be given personally to this commission. It is so obvious that this Historic Preservation Board doesn't like what was presented in either report. There are only two reasons for this, I see. From the commission down, you and the board are not for historic preservation. The board itself will edit and give what it finds appropriate for the city commission to hear. Our board is not even composed of individuals who are advocates for historic preservation. One member thinks the historic homes don't sell as well. Same member thinks that 2 historic districts is good enough, that there's not enough places where houses could be in historic districts. Now there's only individual homes to be designated, according to her. Well, I know many areas that could be designated and preserve our history. Janine McKinnon is also very concerned that any recommendations made to the commission would be those from the Historic Preservation Board, not the consultant. Why did we pay to have a consultant, an excellent one, come and give us a report? In the ending, I want all the citizens to hear. Mr. Bland said, our historic treasures are in peril, and that we, Winter Park, have the worst preservation ordinance he has seen of any city in Florida. I am ashamed, and I hope you are ashamed. Thank you.
I just want to speak, I spoke with the Costa Police folks on Friday. They gave me a great report, and I'm taking it into consideration. The further matter,
They did present it to
I'm sorry, excuse me. They presented to me personally. I'm not arguing with you, Sally, I'm speaking. They presented to me personally, a lot of great information in there. A lot of information still to come. That's why we have a Historic Preservation Board, is to listen and to absorb, as we ask for a commission, from this commission, to absorb the information, bring us finally a report back. Commissioner Cooper?
Yes, sir. I actually am embarrassed for the commission and for the city. I believe that we should give Mr. Bland an opportunity to present his report to the city commission. I don't think it's any different than all of the other things that we hear. I hadn't actually assumed that we wouldn't. My assumption was that as part of looking at that document, we would get recommendations from the historic board, but I also anticipated that that report would receive a public vetting at least equal to the vetting that was given the Economic Development Board with Sylvia Varga. I didn't know we had made that decision as a commission not to hear it.
I don't
thought
think we
were
have.
just-
I think we
Okay.
said that the Historic Preservation Board
I
should
think
hear
we
it
did.
first.
I thought we were doing both, yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know that we've made a decision what the next step is after they hear it.
We haven't.
We can
even
certainly have
discussed it.
access to that, but,
I was
Yeah,
thinking we
it's-
were going to hear it,
well,
so.
well, whether we hear it or not, I mean, there's dozens of consultants that this city uses in numerous ways, and I don't believe every report comes to the commission.
No, just the
But-
ones that are important, like the economic development and the historic preservation.
Well, that's at our request, and I'm sure we're gonna see whatever we want, and see
Understand, I
whatever we
just-
want as a commission.
I just understood that, so
May I
that's a
speak
little
to this?
embarrassing.
By all means, Commissioner Smith.
Let me tell you why this is frustrating to me. I didn't put that article in the paper because I thought it was very unfair to the city. And Randy will tell you, I called immediately and said, did we do this? And he explained to me what happened, and we have no recourse. We can't come back and say, this is not fair. So I understand that. But my other thing is that we have citizens that are accusing us of things that we haven't not only not done, but this hasn't gotten here yet. And for people to be out there, I've gotten a couple of emails from people saying, you all are doing this and you're doing that. I don't know about you, but I'm not doing any of that stuff. And I really don't like the fact that somebody's trying to create an issue. We're addressing it, folks. We are addressing historical preservation. Okay, it hasn't been addressed, and we're addressing it. And it's not going to be addressed, quickly. It takes some time to get there. But the way our citizens work, we do have a committee who's dealing with this. And that committee's going to come back, and we're going to talk. We're not even close to saying you can't talk or you can. We wouldn't do that. We've not done it on anything. And to use the example of what happened with the Park Avenue Association, the number of meetings that those guys had in order to come up with what they came up with was enormous. And so it's not even the same thing right now. And I admire the fact that we're all working on this, but don't start thinking somebody has some ulterior motive, because I know I don't have one, and I know my friends up here don't have them either. So please give us an opportunity to let the process work.
May I say a positive statement?
We'd love to hear a positive statement. We've heard 15 minutes of negative, so go ahead.
Mr. Bland's report was really so, it was breathtaking how much he knew. And I feel like that if you don't hear it in the commission by him, you're denying yourself a great privilege. And this is a new board. So I'd like to see you deny yourself that wonderful privilege.
There's obviously a lot of different input on historical preservation out there right now. And we're hearing voices that are from multiple sources right now on historic preservation, so.
And I personally still have faith that we will hear it in a public meeting. We will hear from the experts here. I believe that we will hear from the board and we will hear from the consultant. I'm not.
Well, our task is clearly to hear from our board. That's what we charge them to do. We also advise them, if they needed a consultation, we gave them that authorization. So, you know, I'm assuming we're going to hear the whole packet when it's all said and done. I'll close the floor for public comment. We'll go to the commission reports. Commissioner Leary.
Just touching back on the historic ordinance for a moment. I too saw the Betsy and Jeffrey Blender gave me the report that Casa Police Friends had, and it was a great report. So, you know, there's occasionally we are accused of things up here that are just simply not true. We are taking our time with things. We have asked for studies. We inherited the current historic preservation ordinance. We're the first ones looking at it to address some of the holes in it. We inherited the fine dining ordinance. This commission sent it back to have it looked at to identify some holes in it and fix those holes. We had Bart Sylvia come in and try to help us identify some areas of opportunity within some of the other things some of the other codes in the city. So I think this commission's been pretty activist in trying to make sure that some of the things that we have been handed, we maintain and we update for the current needs of our community. So it is a bit frustrating to sit up here and be pointed out and lectured and told that people are embarrassed about how we're handling things when we're actually acting to address opportunity areas. So that is my 2 cents on that.